And yeah, and so I just kept studying his life, and I bought his when I became a lawyer and had a couple of pennies. I bought the papers of James Madison. Well, up to the time they were complete. I don't know, volume 12 or something,
Right.
up to volume 12, and then I bought several of the aforementioned biographies, and I found that of the 20th and 21st century ones, they're mostly rubbish. They're mostly aimed at either creating a god after their own fashion,
Mm.
or they're interested in saying, "Oh, well, look at this guy; he's flawed. Therefore, why should we, look up to him?" Or they're see how flawed he is, so it's okay that I'm flawed as well. And James Madison never accepted that.
Right.
James Madison's so pole star was, "Be therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect." And he wasn't perfect and never claimed to be so, but he never said, "You know what? I've got some failings, some shortcomings, so I can't achieve greatness." That did not occur to him.
That's a great lesson right there.
Yeah,
For
because
sure.
I know when I became a professor and a teacher in high school, I became a high school teacher after I became a professor, which is different than most people. But I started teaching high school, and
Everything's different with you, Joe.
that's true. We had like 20 kids. We had a stack of papers like this that all these kids with accommodations for their limitations. And it's fine. I get it, man. Do your thing. I'm not going to make a kid feel bad for something their parents probably promoted and pursued. But it always made me think of James Madison and like, you couldn't have been, as far as physically, weaker than he was in many ways. But he's like, I am not going to let this prevent me from becoming the best that I can be, even within, it's like that famous talk by, is it Dallin H. Oaks about the length of your tether.
Right.
We all have, if you imagine tetherball, another elder
Old.
reference,
Yeah.
but if you remember tetherball, we all have a different length of tether. Some of us have a very long tether, and the circumference is enormous. The rate, the diameter of that circle that we can control is enormous. Some of us have a very short tether. But the point is, however long your tether is, within that circumference, you should be as great as you can be within the circumference of your tether, within I guess the diameter of your tether. And so James Madison did that. And I wrote my first biography of him because I thought nobody's nobody's showing the full picture.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody who wrote a biography had an agenda, and they're gonna, like Procrustes, they were gonna take Madison's life and either stretch it or chop it off to fit the agenda of their biography, like Procrustes and the Travelers, right? Here's the bed. If you don't
Right.
fit, I either stretch you or I lop you off. And so I thought, well, what if we just looked at the man for who he is, and told the unvarnished truth? And what came about was, as I studied for that first biography, I found so much more than I ever bargained for. But the publisher of the first biography, when I turned in the original manuscript, had me take out everything that referenced the religious faith of
Mm.
Madison. They said, "Oh, we don't want to, walk down that
Well, and
road."
that's gonna be my question. Like what your this particular biography, like what niche, what hole were you trying to fill? Um